Part 1, Echoes of the Forgotten Asterisk. I never imagined that a single, ill-advised job could change the course of my life. But there I was, floating among the stars, or rather, hurtling through the void aboard the freighter Vigilant Egress, desperately trying to remember what exactly had possessed me to take up this fool's errand. Maybe it was the promise of a payout that could pay off my ship, or maybe my penchant for bad decisions was too great a gravitational force to resist. The egress wasn't much to look at, an old hunk of metal with more rust than gloss, but she had a spirit I could relate to, hard to break but easy to dent. My crew was a motley collection of misfits, bound more by necessity than camaraderie. Our mission: retrieve a peculiar relic from an ancient derelict floating in the shadow of a massive alien megastructure known as the Whispering Lattice. The lattice, a sprawling web of dark matter and enigmatic geometry, whispered to those who drew too close, a siren song of echoing voices and ancient knowledge. As we approached the lattice, its sheer scale became apparent. It sprawled like a frozen tidal wave, its skeletal arcs glinting with residual energy pulses. "It's big enough to make a black hole look shy," my engineer, Tamsin, remarked over the comms, her voice crackling with static. "You sure this thing won't eat us alive?" I quipped back, trying to mask my own trepidation with bravado. Our navigator, Sierra, an Andorian exile with eyes that saw beyond the usual spectrum of light, scanned the vast structure. "The readings are erratic, Captain. The lattice doesn't match any known configuration." "Keep us steady, we're heading in," I instructed, trying not to picture the many ways this could go wrong. Navigating the asterisk egress was like piloting a whale through a coral reef. The lattice loomed all around us, its alien architecture throwing shadows like fingers reaching into the void. We slipped past twisted spires and around vast, smooth plains that echoed with the whispers the structure was named for. Our destination was the derelict vessel nestled within this cosmic maze, a massive frigate, once called the Asterisk Solstice's Wake Asterisk, now a ghost ship drifting through history. Scans suggested the relic was somewhere in its labyrinthine passages. Docking was tense, the metallic groan of the airlock loud enough to make me wince. As the seal clamped shut with a final hiss, we stepped into a place where time held its breath. The ship's interior was a sepulchre of shadows. Our footsteps on the deck plates disturbed a fine layer of cosmic dust, eddies swirling into the weightless air. Old corridors snaked away, filled with tangled wires and the oppressive silence of dreams long abandoned. "Captain, these readings are strange," Sierra murmured, her eyes tracking an unseen pattern. "It's like something is alive, but not." "Let's just find the artifact and get out," Tamsin suggested. Her pragmatism was always refreshing, if not sometimes unsettling. We moved quietly, our flashlights casting long, wavering beams that flickered across walls covered in alien script, untranslatable but strangely familiar. Each step echoed the whispers that seemed to rise from the very bulkheads, like ghostly fingers brushing against our thoughts. "Anyone else feel like we're being watched?" Sierra whispered. "Probably just your conscience," I shot back, though I felt it too, a presence lurking just out of sight, more sense than seen. Maybe the ship itself was alive, dreaming its metallic dreams. Our journey took us deeper, and the corridors opened abruptly into a cavernous hold. There, suspended in zero gravity like a forgotten dream, was the artifact, an orb of shifting colors and translucent layers, pulsating gently with ripples of light. "I'll be damned," Tamsin breathed, her voice dripping with awe or possibly disbelief. "It's beautiful." "Beautiful things always get you into trouble," I warned, reaching out to secure it. As my fingers brushed its surface, an electric shock surged through my mind, unraveling images and memories that weren't my own. I staggered back, heart pounding, breath ragged. "Are you okay, Captain?" Sierra asked, steadying me with a look of concern that was almost palpable. "Yeah," I lied, "just a static shock." But something had changed. The world now seemed layered, as if a veil had been pulled back. It wasn't much longer before everything went to hell. Alarms blared, the ship's dormant systems roaring to life. Lights flickered as the frigate shuddered violently, as though waking from a long nightmare. The whispers crescendoed, a chaotic symphony echoing through the hull. We need to move, I shouted, adrenaline sharpening my senses. We raced back toward the asterisk egress asterisk, the passageways collapsing into chaos as the ancient systems lashed out blindly. Twisting corridors became a gauntlet of sparking conduits and shifting bulkheads. I felt something akin to a curse, the ship's final act of defiance. With each heartbeat, it tried to swallow us whole. We reached the airlock, breaths ragged as we threw ourselves aboard the asterisk egress asterisk. I slammed the control, cutting the link just as the derelict's hull began to collapse in on itself, a dying gasp of metal and memory. Panting, I slumped into the pilot's seat, hands shaking as I engaged the engines. Through the viewport, the lattice loomed, indifferent to our survival. Behind us, the asterisk Solstice's wake asterisk imploded silently, leaving nothing but a scattering of debris and the ghosts of its whispers. As we pulled away, I glanced at the orb, now safely locked in a containment field. It sat, quietly pulsing with unknown potential, caught between promise and peril. Just another day in paradise, I muttered, breaking the tension. Tamsin chuckled, a nervous edge to her laugh. Next time, can we find an artifact that doesn't try to kill us? Where's the fun in that? I replied, trying to smile past my own weariness. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the real danger had only just begun. Part 2: The Lattice's Whisper. The egress hummed softly around us, its engines propelling us away from the wreckage of the asterisk Solstice's wake asterisk. My mind was still buzzing from the encounter with the orb. I kept seeing flashes when I blinked, fractured images, like memories that belonged to someone else. It was unnerving, but I wasn't about to admit that to my crew. As we cleared the gravitational pull of the Whispering Lattice, Sierra, seated at the navigation console, broke the silence. "So, what's next, Captain? We can't exactly sell this thing on the black market. It's too unique." "Too dangerous, you mean," Tamsin added, casting a wary glance at the containment field where the orb floated, serene and enigmatic. "That thing gave you a shock strong enough to light up a star system." "Yeah, feels a bit like holding a supernova in your pocket," I admitted, "but there's value in mystery. We just need the right buyer." Tamsin arched an eyebrow, assuming it doesn't blow us up first. Her skepticism was a comfort, an anchor amidst my drifting thoughts. "Point taken," I conceded, "but we should learn more about it first. Maybe there's someone out there who can tell us what this thing really is." The comms crackled and Sierra adjusted the frequency. "I might have an idea. There's an old research station orbiting the lattice's twin, the Silent Spire, supposedly long abandoned, but rumors say it's still operational when it needs to be." "A ghost station sounds cozy," I said, my curiosity piqued. "What do they research?" Sierra shrugged, her Andorian eyes watching the orb with a mix of fascination and wariness. "Whispers, if you believe the stories. Someone there might know about artifacts like this one." "All right, plot a course," I decided. "Let's hope the station isn't as dead as it sounds." The journey was uneventful, a rare and welcome respite aboard the asterisk egress asterisk. As we approached the Silent Spire, the station emerged from the gloom like a giant skeletal hand reaching for the stars, its design mirroring the chaos of the lattice but etched with a subtle elegance. The station was quiet, its lights flickering dimly, as if just waking from a long dormancy. We docked with little ceremony, the airlock groaning in protest. The interior was eerily still, the hum of forgotten machines the only sound. "Welcome to the quietest place in the galaxy," I murmured, stepping inside. Tamsin smirked. "I suppose they save on noise cancellation here." We moved through the station's corridors, the walls covered with etched equations and diagrams that spiraled into incomprehensible patterns. The air was heavy with the scent of old books and cold metal, a stark contrast to the sterile scent of the derelict frigate. As we reached what appeared to be a central control room, the lights snapped on, and a hologram flickered to life. The figure, an elderly man with eyes like wells of starlight, regarded us with an expression caught between amusement and curiosity. "Visitors," the hologram mused, its voice smooth with a hint of static. "Unexpected but welcome. I am Archivist Thale." Captain Jard Thorne, I introduced myself, trying to sound more confident than I felt. We found something and thought you might be able to help us identify it. Thale's gaze shifted to the orb in my hand, his eyes widening in recognition. Ah, a fragment of the lattice's heart, he whispered reverently. That is a rare and dangerous relic indeed. What's it for? Tamsin asked, her skepticism giving way to intrigue. It's a conduit, Thale explained, his voice resonant with the weight of ages. A key to the whispers of the lattice, a gateway to knowledge buried deep within its structure. And what about the whispers themselves? Sierra pressed, her eyes locked on the hologram. Why are they so haunting? Thale's expression grew somber. The lattice, my dear, is a repository of lost minds and forgotten dreams. Those who sought its wisdom became part of its tapestry, their thoughts woven into its whispers. Sounds like a bad case of cosmic indigestion, I quipped, earning a chuckle from Tamsin. The artifact, Thale continued, ignoring my humor, can unlock those whispers, reveal what lies beneath the veil. But be warned, Captain, for not all truths wish to be known. His words hung heavy in the air, a warning carried on the breath of the station's ancient ghosts. Suppose we wanted to use it, I said, weighing the risk against the insistent pull of curiosity. What then? The risk is yours to take, Thale replied cryptically. But remember, the lattice does not give freely. Every revelation demands a price. The hologram flickered, fading back into the ether. The room was silent, the station holding its breath, awaiting our decision. Captain, Tamsin said softly, we need to think about this. If we unlock it, we could be opening a Pandora's box. I nodded, the weight of the choice settling on my shoulders. The orb pulsed quiet. Lie an enigma wrapped in promise and peril. Let's get back to the asterisk egress, I sighed, feeling the weight of inevitability. We've got some thinking to do. As we returned to our ship, the station remained a silent sentinel, its secrets waiting patiently in the dark. Back aboard the asterisk egress asterisk, I sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the stars beyond the viewport. Choices were like constellations, each one led somewhere different, but only one would guide me home. We'll keep the orb safe for now, I decided. But Thale's right, we need to understand what we're dealing with before we jump in head first. Sierra nodded, her gaze still lingering on the stars. Knowledge is like gravity, it pulls at you, but sometimes it's best to resist. I chuckled softly, grateful for her wisdom. Let's hope whatever's out there is worth the risk. As the asterisk egress drifted through the void, I felt the lattice's whispers, barely audible, like a heartbeat in the silence. In that moment, I knew this was only the beginning. The stars held their secrets close, and I was determined to uncover them, one whisper at a time. Part 3: The Price of Whispers. The egress cut a lonely path through the cosmic reaches, its hull vibrating with the hum of the engines, a familiar song that had always comforted me. Yet now the comfort was elusive, like trying to grasp smoke. The orb, nestled securely in its containment field, cast soft pulses of light that flickered like a heartbeat against the bulkheads. It was Tamsin who broke the silence first, her voice tinged with a practical curiosity. Captain, what's our plan? We can't just keep this thing in a box forever. The truth was, I had no idea what the plan was, but I couldn't admit that, not when the crew looked to me for direction. We're heading to Port Arclight, I said, improvising on the fly. There's a data broker there, someone who might help us understand more about the lattice and its whispers without trying to shoot us first. Sierra raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in her eyes. Ah, Port Arclight, sounds like a vacation spot. More like a flea market for the desperate and dubious, I replied, managing a wry smile, but it's where we'll find answers. The trip to Port Arclight was uneventful, allowing me time to brood over the orb and its implications. I found myself drawn to it, often catching myself staring into its depths, losing track of time. Each time I'd shake myself back to reality, wondering if the whispers were reaching out, subtly altering my thoughts. Port Arclight loomed into view, a sprawling patchwork station suspended amidst asteroid debris. It spun slowly, its mismatched modules cobbled together in defiance of design and logic. The docking procedures were predictably convoluted, and as we maneuvered into place, the station's broadcast blared a cheerful, if slightly static-laden, greeting. Welcome to Port Arclight, where anything can be yours for the right price. Our first steps into Arclight's bustling corridors were met with a cacophony of voices, languages, and the distinct aroma of a dozen different cuisines mingling with the metallic tang of the station. It was both invigorating and nauseating, a sensory overload that reminded me of just how alive the universe was. We navigated through clusters of traders and travelers, Sierra leading the way with the grace of someone who could see beyond mere appearances. Amidst the chaos, we found our way to a cramped alcove, where the data broker, a thin, wiry man with a sly grin and eyes that missed nothing, conducted his business. "Keb Jarl at your service," he announced, spreading his arms wide, as if he was offering us the universe on a silver platter. "What can I do for you today?" I placed the orb on his cluttered desk, watching his eyes widen in surprise and greed. "We need information. This artifact, it's connected to the Whispering Lattice. We need to know what we're dealing with." Keb leaned forward, his fingers twitching with the urge to touch the orb. "I can help for a price, but be warned, knowledge about the lattice is unstable, a currency of shifting values, if you will." "Unstable or not, we need to know," I insisted, keeping my voice level. "What's your price?" He eyed us shrewdly. "Payment in kind, a favor to be named at a later date." Tamsin shot me a glance, her expression conveying more than words ever could. I knew it was a gamble, but curiosity and necessity danced a dangerous tango in my mind. "Deal," I said, extending my hand. Keb grinned, sealing the pact with a handshake that felt like signing away a piece of my soul. He tapped a few keys on a nearby console, summoning a holographic projection that shimmered above the orb. "This artifact," he began, his voice taking on the cadence of a seasoned storyteller, "is a shard of the lattice's memory, a repository of thoughts and dreams long forgotten. It connects to the core mind of the lattice, allowing access to its deepest secrets." "But there's a cost, right?" Sierra pressed, her voice a melody of skepticism and intrigue. Keb nodded, the smirk never leaving his face. "The lattice demands something of equal value. Memories, emotions, whatever you cherish most. It's a bargain, and the lattice always collects." I felt a chill run through me, the weight of his words heavier than gravity itself. The orb seemed to pulse in agreement, a living thing with its own desires. "Can the connection be controlled?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "With the right technology, perhaps," Keb replied. "But control is relative when dealing with an entity as old as the cosmos." Armed with this knowledge, we left Keb's alcove, the noise of Arclight's corridors seeming louder, the colors more vibrant. My mind was a whirl of thoughts, each one a thread leading to possibilities both daunting and exhilarating. "Captain," Tamsin said as we made our way back to the *egress*, "are you seriously considering using that thing? We don't even know what it might cost us." "I know," I admitted, the weight of it pressing down like the call. "D of deep space, but if there's a chance we can learn something that could change everything, we have to consider it." Our conversations carried us back to the ship, where the orb awaited, its luminescent glow casting long shadows. I stared at it, wrestling with the choice before me. To unlock its secrets was to court danger, but the allure of the unknown, of what lay within those whispers, was a siren call I couldn't easily ignore. "So," I said, voicing the decision that had been growing within me, "let's see if we can rig something up. If we're going to do this, I want to be sure we're ready for whatever comes next." Tamsin and Sierra nodded, a silent agreement that whatever the outcome, we faced it together. As we began preparations, I felt the hum of the *egress beneath my feet, a steady reminder that while the universe may be vast and unpredictable, my ship and my crew were constants I could rely on. The stars outside the viewport twinkled like knowing eyes, witnesses to the unfolding of events set in motion by a single, reckless choice. The whispers awaited, and soon I would hear their song. But for now, there was work to be done, mysteries to be unraveled, and a future to be forged amidst the cosmic dance. Part 4, Beneath the Veil Asterisk. Back aboard the asterisk egress asterisk, the ship felt alive with the hum of activity. Tamsin was buried in wires and circuits, her hands a blur as she worked to fashion a makeshift interface for the orb. Sierra was deep in thought, poring over schematics and data logs, her eyes glinting with the promise of discovery. The orb sat in the center of our workspace, its light fluctuating with an almost sentient curiosity. It seemed to be aware, or perhaps that was just the heightened sense of anticipation that had settled over us all, like the charge before a storm. As I paced the cramped confines of the common area, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of something monumental. The weight of the unknown pressed down, mingling with excitement, a heady mix that made my pulse race. "Captain," Tamsin called out, pulling me from my thoughts. "I think we've got it. The interface should allow us to connect with the orb safely." Safely being a relative term, Sierra added, her voice dry with understatement. "There's no telling what will happen once the connection is made." I approached the setup cautiously, the reality of what we were about to do settling over me like a heavy cloak. "Any second thoughts?" I asked, knowing full well we were past the point of turning back. "Second thoughts are for people with something to lose," Tamsin quipped, though her eyes betrayed a hint of nerves. "And right now, all I'm losing is sleep." Sierra smiled slightly, her gaze steady. "We started this journey together, Captain. Whatever happens, we'll face it head-on." I nodded, grateful for their support. Taking a deep breath, I reached out and activated the interface. There was a moment where nothing happened, just the quiet hum of the ship and the distant thrum of my heartbeat. Then the orb flared to life, its light enveloping us in a cascade of colors and shadows. I felt its pull, a gentle tugging at the edges of my consciousness, like a tide drawing me inexorably towards the depths. And then everything changed. I was no longer aboard the asterisk egress asterisk. Around me stretched an endless expanse of stars, swirling in patterns that defied geometry, each one a node in a cosmic web of thought and memory. I was adrift in the lattice's mind, its whispers now a symphony that sang through my very being. In this space I was neither bound by the constraints of body nor time. I was a thought, an idea flickering in the vastness. And amidst the cacophony of voices, I began to understand their language, a tapestry woven from the hopes and fears of those who had come before. I saw glimpses of civilizations risen and fallen, their knowledge etched into the fabric of the lattice. I saw the birth and death of stars, each cycle a story told in light and shadow. And at the heart of it all, the truth that the lattice guarded with such jealous fervor, a vision of unity, of consciousness intertwined beyond the limits of form. As the revelation unfolded, I felt a part of myself begin to unravel, threads of my own memories drifting into the collective. I understood now the price Keb had spoken of, the risk of losing oneself amidst the infinite. "Captain," the voice echoed from the depths, pulling me back, anchoring me. It was Tamsin, her presence a lifeline in the swirling chaos. I focused, drawing myself back from the brink, the orb's light dimming, as I returned to the confines of the asterisk egress asterisk. The transition was jarring, like waking from a dream too vivid to forget. The ship felt too small, too confining after the boundless expanse of the lattice's mind. "Well, that was a ride," Tamsin said, her voice shaking off the last vestiges of awe. "What did you see, Captain?" "It's indescribable," I managed, running a hand through my hair as I tried to organize my jumbled thoughts. "The lattice is a repository of consciousness, a tapestry of everything that ever was or will be. It's overwhelming." Sierra regarded me with a mixture of awe and concern. "And the price, did it demand anything?" I hesitated, the memory of what I had almost lost still fresh. "It tried," I admitted, "but I came back in time." The room fell silent, the weight of my words hanging heavy. We had glimpsed the edge of something vast and unknowable, and with it came the realization that we could never go back to the way things had been. "What's our next move?" Tamsin asked, her tone somber. "We need to be careful," I replied. "The knowledge we've gained, it's both a gift and a curse. The lattice holds answers, but we must tread lightly. Sierra nodded, her expression resolute. Our path isn't clear, but we'll find our way. We always do. As the orb settled back into its gentle rhythm, I knew the journey was only just beginning. The lattice's whispers were a siren call, and though I felt the weight of what lay ahead, I also felt a sense of purpose, a certainty that we were meant to uncover the secrets of the cosmos, no matter the cost. The stars await. Vast and indifferent, and as the asterisk egress slipped back into the flow of the universe, I knew we would meet them head-on, with courage and curiosity as our guides. Part 5. In the Shadow of Giants. We set course for the edge of known space, where the maps ended and the mysteries began. It was there, according to the data broker's cryptic notes, that we might find the next piece of the puzzle, a place where the physical universe brushed against the realm of the lattice, a place known only as the Vortex of Echoes. As we drifted further from the settled routes, the stars began to thin, replaced by the haunting beauty of nebulae and cosmic dust. The ship felt alive beneath my feet, a faithful companion on our journey into the unknown. The Vortex of Echoes was a region spoken of in hushed tones by those who dared to map its fringes, a gravitational anomaly where time and space twisted upon themselves. Few who ventured into its depths returned, and those who did spoke of visions and revelations that defied comprehension. "Look at it," Sierra whispered as the vortex came into view, her voice a mix of awe and caution. The anomaly loomed ahead, a swirling mass of light and shadow that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "It's beautiful," Tamsin admitted, though her eyes betrayed a hint of unease, "and terrifying." As we approached, the ship's sensors went haywire, displays flickering with data that jumped and pulsed like a heartbeat. The vortex was alive, a presence more profound than mere gravity and energy. "Steady," I instructed, gripping the controls with white-knuckled determination. "We need to maintain a stable orbit. The last thing we want is to get caught in its pull." The egress shuddered as we entered the anomaly's outer reaches, the gravitational forces tugging at the hull. It was like navigating the wake of a colossal, invisible beast. "Captain," Sierra called out, her gaze fixed on the readings. "There's something inside, a structure, I think." "You're kidding," Tamsin replied, her tone equal parts incredulity and fascination. "What kind of structure survives in a place like this?" "The kind built by those who understood the whispers," I suggested, my mind racing with possibilities. "Let's get a closer look." With careful precision, we guided the asterisk egress deeper into the vortex. Every sense screamed that we were on the edge of a precipice, where one wrong move could spell disaster, but curiosity and the promise of discovery spurred us on. As we moved closer, the ship's sensors began to clarify the image, a colossal structure, its lines elegant and impossibly complex, suspended like a jewel within the swirling chaos. It was ancient, its surfaces etched with patterns that defied logic, pulsating with the eerie glow of the vortex. "It's like a city," Tamsin murmured, awe creeping into her voice, "a city of light and shadow." "It's more than that," Sierra added, her voice barely more than a whisper. "It's a beacon." The realization struck like a thunderclap. The structure was drawing the vortex around it, harnessing the anomaly's chaotic energies. It was a focal point, a nexus where the physical and the ethereal converged. We maneuvered closer, and I felt a shiver run through me, a sensation beyond words, a connection to the whispers that had haunted my dreams since the orb first touched my mind. We docked at the periphery of the structure, the egress settling against a docking arm with a gentle thud. The airlock opened onto a vast corridor, dark and echoing, as if waiting to swallow us whole. The silence was deafening, a heavy weight that pressed against us as we stepped into the ancient hall. Light flickered from the walls, illuminating alien symbols that shifted and danced, seeming to watch us with unseen eyes. "Looks like we're not in Kansas anymore," Tamsin quipped, though the humor fell flat against the oppressive quiet. We moved cautiously, the corridor opening into a vast chamber that defied all understanding. It stretched beyond sight, filled with columns and arches that twisted like the spiraling arms of a galaxy. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which hovered an object that mirrored the orb we carried. But this one was larger, more vibrant, its surface alive with patterns that ebbed and flowed like the tides. "This is it," I whispered, feeling the truth resonate within me. It was the heart of the vortex, the source of its power and mystery. The whispers returned, louder now, an insistent chorus that filled the chamber, reaching out to me with fingers of light and shadow. The truth was within reach, but so was the danger, the understanding that with knowledge came responsibility, and with power a price. "Captain," Sierra said, her voice a tether in the swirling maelstrom, "what do we do?" I took a deep breath, the weight of the decision more tangible than ever. We came for answers, and they're here, but we have to be prepared for what we might unleash. "Agreed," Tamsin replied, her resolve firm. "Let's see what this place has to tell us." Together we approached the pedestal, the whispers growing to a crest. As I reached out to the larger orb, I felt the connection snap into place, a conduit between the lattice, the vortex, and myself. Visions cascaded through my mind, a torrent of images and sounds that blurred the line between reality and dream. I saw the birth of galaxies, the rise and fall of civilizations, each note a part of an eternal symphony that played across the cosmos. And at the heart of it all, the truth that had drawn us here, a revelation of unity, of a universe where thought and matter were one, bound by the whispers of the lattice and the echoes of the vortex. I staggered back, breathless, the enormity of it all settling over me like a cloak of stars. The whispers faded, their song complete, their truths entrusted to us now. "Captain," Sierra's voice brought me back, her concern palpable. "I'm okay," I assured her, though the weight of the knowledge was heavy indeed. "We've seen the truth, now we must decide what to do with it." We left the chamber, the echoes of the whispers still resonating in our minds. As we returned to the egress asterisk, I knew that the path ahead would be fraught with choices and challenges. But with the revelations of the vortex, we had the means to shape our destiny, to forge a path through the stars unlike any before. The universe awaited, vast and full of secrets yet to be uncovered, and with the whispers as our guide, we would find our way, one step at a time, into the great unknown. Part 6: Uncharted Currents. The journey back from the vortex of echoes was a quiet one. Silence filled the corridors of the egress, punctuated only by the soft hum of the engines and the occasional creak of metal as we navigated through the ether. Each of us was lost in our thoughts, the weight of what we had discovered settling into our bones like ancient knowledge. I sat in the dim glow of the control room, the orb resting securely in its containment field. Its pulsing was now synchronized with the larger one we had encountered in the vortex, a silent reminder of the interconnectedness we had glimpsed. The knowledge we had gained was a double-edged sword, enlightening, yet fraught with responsibility. The stillness was broken by Sierra as she slid into the chair beside me, her presence a comforting balm. "We made it back in one piece," she observed, her voice soft yet resonant. "For now," I replied, my eyes locked on the stars that drifted past the viewport. "But what happens next? How do we use what we've learned without destroying ourselves in the process?" She considered my question, her gaze thoughtful and serene. "Perhaps it's not about using it, but understanding it. Knowledge like this isn't meant to be wielded, it's meant to be shared, to guide us." Her words struck a chord, resonating with the echoes of the vortex. The universe was vast and complex, and our place within it was one of many threads woven into the cosmic tapestry. Tamsin joined us, carrying 2 steaming mugs of something that smelled suspiciously like coffee, though knowing her, it could have been anything. "I'd say we've earned a break," she said, handing me a mug with a grin. "A chance to breathe before the next big disaster you managed to stumble us into." I chuckled, grateful for the levity she brought. "You say disaster, I say adventure." "Same difference," she shot back, settling into her chair with the comfort of someone who'd spent years navigating chaos. We sat there, bathed in the soft glow of the control panels, sipping from our mugs and allowing ourselves a rare moment of peace. But the universe had other plans, as it always did. "Captain," Sierra said, her tone shifting to one of alertness, I'm picking up a signal distress beacon, encoded with Alliance protocols. It's faint, but it's there. A distress signal out here, in the uncharted fringes. It was both improbable and deeply troubling. Can you pinpoint its location? I asked, setting my mug down with a sense of urgency that prickled my skin. Sierra nodded, her fingers dancing over the console with practiced ease, sending coordinates to the helm now. I engaged the navigation thrusters, and the egress veered toward the signal's source, the stars outside shifting as we adjusted course. As we approached, the source of the signal came into view, a small craft, battered and drifting aimlessly, its hull marred by a series of jagged scars. The ship was of Alliance design, sleek and functional, though now the picture of desolation. Looks like it took a beating, Tamsin commented, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the damaged vessel. But there's no sign of an attack, it's as if it was caught in something. Or by something, I added, the vortex's unpredictable energies echoing in my mind. We docked carefully, the egress lining up alongside the stricken ship. The airlock hissed open with a reluctant groan, revealing a corridor that was eerily dark and silent. I led the way, Tamsin and Sierra flanking me as we moved through the wreck. Flickering lights illuminated the path ahead, revealing the aftermath of chaos stretched out before us. Equipment lay scattered, walls scorched by inexplicable energy discharges. The ship felt like a tomb, silent except for the faint hum of life support barely clinging to function. Over here, Sierra called, her voice urgent. We followed her to the control room, where a lone figure slumped over the console, barely conscious. A woman, her uniform tattered and stained with the marks of survival. She looked up as we approached, her eyes wide with relief and weariness. Thank you, she gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. Easy now, I said, kneeling beside her. You're safe. What happened? She took a shaky breath, her gaze distant, as if reconstructing the events in her mind. We were exploring. Anomaly. Something reached out. Everything went wrong. The whispers. They twisted reality. That struck a nerve, the echoes of the lattice and vortex whispering in the back of my mind. Whatever had happened here was connected, another piece of the puzzle we were trying to assemble. We'll get you back to the asterisk egress asterisk, Tamsin assured her, already moving to support the woman. We transferred her to the safety of our ship, settling her into the medbay where she could rest and recover. Her presence raised more questions than answers, but it was a lead, another thread to follow through the maze of the universe's Lagrids. Back in the control room, I pondered the implications. The lattice, the vortex, even the distress signal, all were elements of a larger story we were only beginning to understand. She's stable for now, Sierra reported, her expression a careful balance of concern and curiosity. What do you think happened to them? Something beyond comprehension, I replied, my thoughts a tangled web of possibilities. But we have to find out. The universe is changing, and we need to know why. As the asterisk egress slipped back into the cosmos, I felt the familiar pull of curiosity and adventure. The path ahead was uncertain, but we would face it together, guided by the whispers and the promise of discovery that they carried. Each step into the unknown was another step toward understanding, and I was ready to see where it would lead us next. Part 7, Threads of the Unknown Asterisk. The woman Lyra recovered quickly, her resilience a testament to the willpower that had kept her alive until our arrival. As she regained strength, her story unfolded, a tale woven with mystery and dread. Her ship had been studying an unusual anomaly akin to both the lattice and the vortex when the laws of reality began to deteriorate around them. Whispers, she said, had filled their minds, bending time and space until nothing made sense. We were drawn to it like moths to a flame, Lyra recounted, her voice steady but eyes shadowed by the memory. It promised answers, a vision of the universe's fabric, but we weren't prepared for what lay beneath. Her words resonated with us, echoes of our own encounters whispering in the back of my mind. The universe held many secrets, but it was becoming clear that some were not meant to be unraveled without consequence. As she rested, I convened with Tamsin and Sierra in the cramped confines of our makeshift meeting area. The orb sat between us, its glow casting shifting patterns across the walls. We need to find out if there are more anomalies like the vortex, Tamsin suggested, her practical mind already calculating possibilities. If they're connected, we might be looking at a network, a web spun across the cosmos. Sierra nodded, her eyes reflecting the orb's gentle light. A web of consciousness, perhaps. The lattice and vortex seem to echo each other, and now this. It's as if the universe is trying to communicate, but its language is beyond our understanding. I leaned back, the weight of our discoveries pressing down like the cold of deep space. Then we need a translator, someone or something that can help us understand what we're dealing with before it's too late. The answer came sooner than expected. An incoming transmission crackled over the comms, the signal rich with static but unmistakably urgent. I tapped the console, curious and wary in equal measure. "This is Professor Aladra Wynne," the voice announced, the tone clipped and cautious. "I understand you've come into possession of an artifact linked to the lattice. We should talk." The name was familiar. Wynne was a respected physicist, known for her work on cosmic structures and their implications for reality. Her presence here now could not be mere coincidence. I glanced at Tamsin and Sierra, both mirroring my blend of suspicion and anticipation. "Patch her through," I said, leaning forward as the image of a middle-aged woman materialized on the screen, her sharp eyes and silver-streaked hair framing a face etched with purpose. "Captain Thorne," she greeted, her gaze penetrating, "I've been following your progress. The anomalies you've encountered, they're linked to a larger phenomenon, and I believe you hold the key to unlocking it." "No pressure then," I quipped, my attempt at humor more for my own benefit than hers. "What can you tell us?" Wynne's expression softened marginally. "The lattice and vortex are part of a greater network, a cosmic consciousness that spans galaxies. Each anomaly is a node, a point of connection that binds the universe's hidden framework. What you've encountered are echoes, remnants of a civilization that once understood this network." "And what happened to them?" Sierra asked, her voice tinged with both curiosity and caution. "Their understanding became their undoing," Wynne replied somberly. "They probed too deeply, awakening forces they couldn't control. The network now serves as a warning and a beacon, a guide for those who dare to seek its truths." I considered her words, the pieces of the puzzle beginning to align in my mind. "And the orb, what role does it play?" "It's a key," Wynne explained, her eyes flicking to the glowing sphere, "a conduit for communication. With it, you can interact with the network, access its knowledge. But be warned, using it comes with risks, as you're already aware." "This is bigger than us," Tamsin said, her voice carrying the weight of realization. "Bigger than we imagined." Wynne nodded, precisely why we must tread carefully. If we can understand the network without falling into the same traps, we might unlock a new era of discovery or prevent a catastrophic unraveling. The conversation left us with more questions than answers, but also a sense of direction. Wynne's expertise offered a glimmer of hope amidst the vast uncertainty. "Where do we start?" I asked, sensing the scope of our task stretching out before us like an uncharted starfield. "There's another anomaly," Wynne said, her voice steady, "one that resonates with the same frequency as the vortex. If we can access it, we might find the answers we seek. I'll transmit the coordinates. Meet me there." The transmission cut out, leaving us with the hum of the ship and the echoes of Wynne's words. The path was set, the stakes higher than ever. As the asterisk egress adjusted course toward this new destination, I felt the familiar mix of apprehension and excitement broiling within. The universe was calling, its whispers louder and more insistent, and we were poised to answer. "All right," I said, my voice firm with resolve. "We have a course and a plan. Let's see what this next step holds." The stars beyond the viewport seemed to shimmer with anticipation, the vastness full of promise and peril. Our journey into the unknown was far from over, and as we hurtled toward the next anomaly, I knew one thing for certain. The universe's secrets were within reach, and we were determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Part 8: Convergence of Shadows. The journey to the new anomaly was a journey inward as much as it was one through the star-speckled void. The egress moved with purpose, her engines a steady thrum beneath our feet, as if she shared our resolve. Each moment was filled with the anticipation of what lay at the coordinates Professor Wynne had sent, yet haunted by shadows of uncertainty and the weight of our discoveries. Lyra had become an unexpected ally, sharing insights into the anomaly that had ensnared her vessel. Her knowledge, combined with Wynne's guidance, painted a picture of a universe more complex and interconnected than any of us had dared to imagine. As we approached the target coordinates, the anomaly came into view, a swirling cauldron of light and shadow, much like the vortex yet distinct in its own chaotic elegance. It pulsed with an energy that reverberated through our ship, a force both familiar and alien. "It's even more alive than the last one," Tamsin observed, eyes wide as she adjusted the sensors. "Feels like we're staring into the universe's eye." "Or its heart," Sierra added, her voice carrying the melody of something ancient and reverent. The ship shuddered gently as we maneuvered to the edge of the anomaly, the controls vibrating with the energy that flowed from it like a river of light. I steadied myself, the sense of an impending moment thick in the air. "Time to meet Professor Wynne," I announced, initiating the docking sequence with the station that orbited the anomaly, a relic of forgotten purpose, now a silent guardian over the mysteries within. The airlock opened to reveal a narrow bridge connecting us to the station. The structure groaned under its own age, its metal bones whispering of ancient stories and forgotten songs. I moved ahead, guiding the crew through the dimly lit corridors, the walls adorned with the same cryptic symbols we had seen in our previous encounters. Professor Wynne awaited us in a central control chamber, her figure silhouetted against a tapestry of screens that displayed the anomaly's swirling form. Her presence was commanding, a blend of determination and scholarly curiosity. "Welcome," she greeted, her voice carrying a weight that seemed to echo around the chamber. "I'm glad you could make it. We're standing on the edge of something extraordinary." "We didn't come this far to turn back now," I replied, the shared sense of purpose knitting us together. Wynne gestured to the screens where data streamed in constant flux. "This anomaly is unique. Unlike the vortex, it's stable, an anchor in the fabric of spacetime. It's as if the universe itself is holding its breath." "And the network?" Sierra asked, her eyes scanning the streams of information. "The network is strong here, vibrant," Wynne confirmed, her tone imbued with awe. "The lattice, the vortex, and this anomaly, they resonate with each other, forming a pattern that speaks to the unity of reality." We stepped closer, the proximity to the anomaly filling the air with a charge that set my skin tingling. The orb in my possession pulsed in rhythm with the energy flowing around us, a silent choir in the cosmic symphony. "How do we proceed?" Tamsin inquired, her pragmatic mind seeking practical steps amidst the abstract wonder. Wynne turned, meeting our eyes with a steady gaze. "We must establish a link between the anomaly and the network, a conduit to exchange knowledge and understanding. The orb will be our key." I nodded, the gravity of the task settling over me like a mantle. "Let's do it." Together we arranged the equipment, the orb placed at the center of a web of connections that hummed with potential. Wynne activated the system, the room filling with a soft luminescence that grew, bathing us in its glow. As the network spun into life, I felt the same pull as before, a gravitational force that drew me into the collective consciousness. It was a dance, a weaving of light and thought that transcended the boundaries of individual existence. Visions unfolded, each one a fragment of the greater whole. I saw the birth of stars, the rise and fall of galaxies, each cycle a heartbeat in the universe's grand design. The tapestry of reality revealed itself, strands of time and space intertwining in a cosmic ballet. Yet beneath the beauty lay shadows, dark currents that whispered of imbalance. I saw structures crumbling, the echoes of forgotten civilizations that had reached too far, their wisdom unraveling into chaos. The images shifted, resolving into a new vision, our own universe in turmoil, its balance delicate and fragile. The network, vast and intricate, offered solutions and warnings, the wisdom of ages ready to guide or condemn. I emerged from the communion, the light dimming as the connection waned. Around me, the crew stood silent, their faces etched with the same awe and understanding. Wynne spoke first, her voice a mix of reverence and determination. We've seen it now, the truth. Of the network, it offers us knowledge, but also a choice, a path to unity or division. I nodded, the echoes of the visions still thrumming in my mind. We can use this, not just for ourselves, but for all who seek the truth. The universe is calling for balance, and it's up to us to answer. The task ahead was daunting, the responsibility immense, but as I looked at my crew, I felt the strength of our bond, the shared purpose that had brought us this far. The anomaly shimmered beyond the station, a beacon in the fabric of reality, its whispers a constant reminder of the journey yet to come. The universe was vast and full of secrets, but now we were no longer alone in deciphering its language. Our path was set, the challenge clear, to weave the truths we had learned into a future that honored both the light and shadow of the cosmos. And as the asterisk egress prepared to set sail once more, I knew we would face whatever came next together, guided by the whispers of a universe waiting to be understood. Part 9: Beyond the Horizon. The return journey from the anomaly was a contemplative one, the revelations we'd experienced casting long shadows across the familiar corridors of the asterisk egress asterisk. Our minds were full, brimming over with the knowledge and responsibility laid before us by the cosmic tapestry. The sense of purpose was palpable, each of us carrying a piece of the universal puzzle we had begun to unravel. Professor Wynne remained on the station to continue her study, her parting words a reminder of our shared mission: keep the paths open and the dialogue alive. The universe speaks, but only if we're willing to listen. As the asterisk egress slipped away from the station, I felt the ship relax, as if exhaling after a breath held too long. The stars stretched out before us, vast and indifferent, a reminder of both our insignificance and our potential. In the days that followed, we fell into a rhythm, each of us processing the experience in our own way. Tamsin threw herself into the ship's maintenance, her hands a blur as she tweaked systems and recalibrated sensors, a focus that steadied her. Sierra spent her time in the observation lounge, gazing out at the stars with a serene expression, her thoughts her own. I often joined her there, the silence between us speaking volumes as we pondered the enormity of what lay ahead. Lyra, now a part of our crew, had taken to studying the orb, her insights invaluable as we sought to understand its true nature. Her presence was a reminder of the journey we'd undertaken, the steps that had led us to this precipice. One evening, as the ship's lights dimmed to mimic the setting of a sun we hadn't seen in weeks, Lyra approached me, her expression thoughtful. "I've been thinking," she began, her voice steady, "about what you said, that the universe is calling for balance. What if there's more to it than just understanding? What if the network is asking us to act?" Her words hung in the air, resonating with an undeniable truth. The visions we'd witnessed had shown us more than knowledge, they'd offered us choices. "I think you're right," I replied, the realization settling over me like a mantle. Understanding is just the beginning. We have a responsibility to use what we've learned to make things better, to help guide others. Tamsin joined us, wiping her hands on a cloth, a thoughtful look on her face. "That sounds like a call to action," she said, nodding in agreement. "And I suppose if anyone's going to save the universe, it might as well be us." Sierra chuckled, a light, musical sound that broke the tension. "The universe chose well then, but where do we start?" The question was both daunting and invigorating. The universe was vast, filled with countless worlds and civilizations, each with their own challenges and secrets. But the network had shown us a glimpse of the possibilities, the connections that bound all things together. "We start with what we know," I decided, the clarity of purpose a guiding star. The network is vast, and there are others out there who need guidance, like those who built the anomalies. If we can help them understand, maybe we can prevent the same mistakes from happening again. Lyra nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. "Then we become messengers, emissaries of the network. We share the knowledge, but we also listen, learn from those we meet." The decision was made, our path set. It felt like stepping onto a bridge suspended over a chasm, the destination uncertain but the journey vital. As the asterisk egress slipped through the fabric of reality, the universe unfolded before us, full of possibility and promise. Each star a beacon, each world a story waiting to be told. I felt the whispers of the network, a gentle hum that resonated in my very being. They were a guide, a reminder that we were not alone in our quest for understanding. In the days that followed, we set a course for a sector known to be home to a series of anomalies, their nature as yet unexplored. It was a place of mystery and potential, the kind of challenge that set our hearts racing with anticipation. The stars beckoned and the egress responded, her engines a song of journey and discovery. Together, we would face the unknown, driven by the whispers of a universe that waited to be understood. The horizon stretched out endlessly, full of light and shadow, truth and enigma. And as we ventured into the vastness, I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would meet it with courage, curiosity, and the unwavering belief that the universe, in all its complexity, was a story worth telling. Part 10: Resonance of the Past. The sector we ventured into was known among explorers as the Veil Cluster, a region shrouded in a nebula that glowed with hues of vibrant blue and deep violet. It was a place where sensors struggled, where maps were nothing more than rough sketches, and where legends spoke of hidden worlds and ancient secrets. The egress glided through the ethereal mists, her hull bathed in the nebula's light, every surface shimmering as if touched by stardust. The crew was on high alert, the air charged with the thrill of discovery and the slight edge of the unknown. "Readings are coming in patchy," Tamsin reported, her brow furrowed over the console. "But there's definitely something different about this place. The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen." "Keep an eye on those fluctuations," I instructed, feeling the weight of uncharted territory pressing in. "If the network extends here, we might find another node, another piece of the universe's puzzle." As if in answer to our thoughts, the ship's sensors picked up a faint signal, a pulse that stood out amidst the swirling energy. It was a beacon, not unlike the ones we'd encountered before, but its frequency was subtly different, suggestive of something older, deeper. Sierra, her eyes fixed on the data stream, tilted her head thoughtfully. "It's calling to us, like a whisper beneath the surface noise. We should heed it." We adjusted course, navigating through the nebula's dense currents, guided by the beacon's steady rhythm. As we closed in, the mists parted to reveal a planet cloaked in shadow and light. The surface was a tapestry of jagged mountain ranges and deep valleys, interwoven with rivers of luminescent liquid that glowed with an inner fire. It was a world that seemed alive with a pulse, a heartbeat that resonated with the network's whispers. We descended through the atmosphere, the egress, cutting a path through the thick clouds that roiled around us like restless spirits. The landing was smooth, the ship settling amidst a vast plain where crystalline structures rose like monuments to forgotten eras. As we stepped onto the surface, the air tingled with energy, the ground beneath our feet humming with a subtle vibration. The structures loomed over us, their surfaces inscribed with glyphs so ancient they seemed to predate time itself. Lyra knelt beside one, her fingers tracing the symbols with a reverence born of understanding. "It's a story," she said, her voice filled with wonder, "a history of this world and its place within the network." "These glyphs," Tamsin added, her eyes narrowing in concentration, "they're like a language of resonance. If we can decode them, we might learn how this place connects to the other nodes." As we explored, the glyphs revealed more than just history. They told of a civilization that had flourished here, one that had understood the network's complexity and sought harmony within its weave. Yet there was also a cautionary tale, a warning etched into the crystalline walls. The balance they had achieved was fragile, their understanding a double-edged sword that had ultimately led to their undoing. "We have to be careful," I murmured, the weight of their lessons heavy on my shoulders. "Their knowledge is invaluable, but we can't repeat their mistakes." We moved deeper into the labyrinth of structures, drawn toward a central edifice that pulsed with the same energy as the beacon that had led us here. Inside, we found a chamber, its walls alive with light and sound, the air charged with the resonance of the network. It was a node, a focal point where the threads of the universe converged. The orb, cradled in my hands, began to glow in response, its light intertwining with the patterns around us. "This is it," Sierra whispered, her tone a mix of awe and anticipation, "a chance to connect, to understand." The process was both familiar and new. We activated the node, and the chamber filled with a symphony of light and sound, a cascade of images and sensations that enveloped us. The visions that unfolded were breathtaking in their scope, a tapestry of time and space that wove together the destinies of countless worlds. The network's song was one of unity and divergence, a balance struck in the dance of creation and decay. Yet within the harmony there was discord, a fracture in the network, a shadow that loomed ever larger as civilizations rose and fell. It was a wound that threatened to unravel the delicate threads, to cast the universe into chaos. The realization struck with the force of a nova. We were not merely explorers or messengers. We were guardians, called to mend the breach, to heal the divides that threatened the cosmic order. As the communion ended, we found ourselves back in the chamber, the echoes of the network's song fading into the stillness. Around us, the crystalline walls pulsed with a gentle glow, the glyphs shimmering with renewed life. "What now?" Lyra asked, her voice steady despite the enormity of our task. "We find the source of the fracture," I replied, the path ahead clear in my mind, "and we restore the balance." The universe waited, its endless expanse full of light and shadow. The journey we faced was daunting, the challenges immense, but together we would heed the call, guided by the whispers of the network and the wisdom of those who had come before. With resolve hardening into purpose, we returned to the asterisk egress, carrying with us the hopes of a universe in need of healing. As the ship lifted from the planet's surface, I knew our mission had only just begun, and that we would not falter in the face of the unknown.